بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله تعالى على سيدنا محمد أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه إلى يوم الدين والتعلم والتعليم والتذكر والتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على تمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم والدعاء إلى الهدى والدلالة إلى الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته قربه ثوابه سبحانه وتعالى. سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العظيم. عدد كلها في كتب أكتب أبد العابدين ودهر الداهرين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. وحسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العظيم. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من أن أظلم أو أجهل وجن علي. اللهم أغننا بالعلم زينا بالحلم واكرمنا بالتقوى وجملنا بالعافية يا أرحم الراحمين يا أرحم الراحمين يا أرحم الراحمين. We start by praising Allah Ta'ala as it is right to be praised. We ask for his peace and blessings to Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his family, his companions, his forefathers and brethren in prophecy, all those who follow the may Allah make us amongst them. Ameen. But we are leaving off we're picking up where we left off from last night's class in the reading of the Councils of Religion by Imam Haddad, where he last spoke about the virtues of Tarawih, of praying Tarawih during Ramadan, the emphasized sunnah of praying 20 rak'ah every night in Ramadan. So it's human nature that it's very human for people to sense the importance of certain times based on events they see around them. You know, if someone walks into, say, like a funeral, okay, and they get a vibe for the place and people's, how they're acting and their behavior and the emotional state, they'll realize this is a somber moment, something occurred, and they will react accordingly. In contrast to, for example, if someone was to walk into a venue, for example, before they're having a big party or an event like a wedding or a birthday party, they get a feel, wow, there's excitement in the air, everyone's moving, you just want to start moving to and helping out. So it's human nature when you go somewhere, a time or place, and you get a feel, you see what's going on, and the states of people there, you get a feel for what's happening, how you should act, and you will react accordingly. So similarly in Ramadan, Allah Ta'ala, by making certain acts emphasize sunnahs and certain acts obligatory and being around pious people, you get a feel for how you should react during this month. So this is a month where Allah Ta'ala is saying it's best, it's from the sunnah to pray 20 extra rak'ah every single night, right? Every single night. And he's telling us, as was mentioned in hadith previously, all his mercy being poured during this blessed time on his servants, all the virtues in this month. And so because of that, the sense you get is that you have to work hard, right? You have to work hard, right? Even the laziest student at school, if they were to walk into study hall and they see that every single person is studying really hard, they hear papers rustling, pages being turned, pens scratching on paper, they'll get a feel, khalas, they'll feel ashamed or out of place to do otherwise. At the very least, they'll sit quietly and respect everyone else's hard work. So likewise, in Ramadan, we have to get a feel for what this time is like and how we're supposed to react to it. For that reason, the very next section, what does he say? He says, strive to make your acts of goodness and benevolence as abundant as you can in Ramadan. As abundant as you can in Ramadan. When you read how the companions were in Ramadan, how they used to, even when there was no main congregation, they would still pray Tarawih individually or in small groups. It tells you what their aspirations were like in this month. Imagine how hard it would be to pray 20 rak'ah by yourself every single night in Ramadan. You have to be at home by yourself and you have to push yourself to pray 20 rak'ah every single night during Ramadan. Imagine how much harder it would be to do 20 with the khatam of the Quran by yourself. But Allah has, through the Prophet ﷺ and through what the companions after him set for us to do, it's become easy for us because there's an atmosphere of worship. There's an atmosphere of worship that we can take advantage of. For that reason, he's saying, make the most of this month, for it is a blessed time. He says, it is a blessed time when wages are multiplied, meaning the reward we get for our actions from Allah Ta'ala. Reward is abundant. It's abundant because there are so many opportunities to get reward. Okay? The opportunities we have normally throughout the year, they're still here, plus more. Tarawih, doing khatams of the Quran, fasting. He says, reward is abundant and good works are made easy. Why are they made easy? Because the shayateen, the devils, are all chained up, and because our passions, our egos, things that would normally distract us, even food, plus they're not on the menu. They're all locked up and they're on set aside. Even just if someone fasts, when someone fasts, they realize how much time they spent eating. How much time they spent eating. All that is set aside. You made mutafarriq, or you're made completely free to worship Allah Ta'ala. He says, as for the multiplication of wages, it has been transmitted that a supererogatory devotion in Ramadan attracts a reward equal to that of an obligatory one of the same kind at any other time, while an obligatory devotion equals 70 such devotions performed at other times. So what this means is that, for example, we know that obligatory actions throughout the year are multiplied in reward, okay? From 10 to 700, they're multiplied, okay? And in Ramadan, they're even more multiplied. They're even more multiplied. And then extra actions that are not obligatory, okay? They get the reward of obligatory actions outside of Ramadan. So there is a multiplying effect in the reward you accrue or you acquire from these actions just by virtue of us being in this blessed month. He says, why should one miss such profit and be too lazy to seize the opportunity of such a transaction, one that can never lose? As for good works being made easy, it is because the soul that incites to evil is imprisoned by hunger and thirst, and the devils that discourage people from good works and place obstacles before them are shackled, unable to spread corruption. Therefore, nothing stands between one and good works, no barriers exist, save for those who are overcome by their wretchedness and misfortune. May God protect us. For such people, Ramadan is similar to any other time. They're ever forgetful of God. Some may even become more forgetful and distracted in this month. So this month is extremely special, and all the obstacles we have between us and good deeds are cast aside. It's just us, and in front of us is path to Allah Ta'ala. Even people who don't normally, for example, they might not practice throughout the year, right? They'll still fast in Ramadan. They might even start praying just because it's Ramadan. Okay? So there's a sense in the air that someone can just feel it. They can just feel it. And even fasting outside this month, if one of us was to try and fast 30 straight days outside Ramadan, it'd be so hard, But for some reason in Ramadan, no matter what season it is, right, whether it's winter or summer, Allah just makes it easy. So there's something about this blessed month that Allah has made it easy for people to worship Him. Has made it easy for them to worship it. And then He's not only done that, He's also multiplied the reward they would receive for their worship. He says, just as the believer should intensify his good works in this month and show diligence, so should he be extremely careful to avoid transgressions and maintain himself at a distance from them. For sins committed during blessed times are much worse and deserving of much more severe punishment as a counterpart for the multiplication of rewards for good works at those same times. So, the virtue of this month is known to us now, right? The more good deeds we do, that we're encouraged to do, the more reward we get. Rewards are multiplied. Furthermore, because of the sanctity of the month, right? Because of the sanctity of the month, likewise, bad deeds bear potentially more punishment. Okay? And again, this is something that people just realize, right? People just realize. Okay? So for that reason, if we go back to the example, right? If we go back to the example of when you walk somewhere, enter somewhere for the first time, whether it's like a funeral, right? Okay, you just get a sense if there's something you normally do that's inappropriate for this time and place, you just get a feeling that it's not the time for it. Even a child will realize that just by gauging their surroundings and seeing how people are acting. So furthermore, the sanctity of this month, the extra mercy in it, the air of worship around us, it not only discourages disobedience of Allah Ta'ala, but it also gives a sense that if you were to do it, you're violating something really important. And if you were to sin, then potentially there is even more punishment than there normally is. For that reason as well, for example, if someone were to break their fast during this month without an excuse, someone breaks their fast for no reason in Ramadan, they still have to abstain from food and drink for the rest of the day. Why? The day doesn't count for them anymore. They have to make it up later. But they still have to abstain because it's to show honor and respect for this day. For the day that we're in, a day of Ramadan. And if they were to, for example, fast a day outside of Ramadan, even if it's, for example, a makeup fast that's obligatory upon them, Okay? If they were to break that fast through food and drink without an excuse, they wouldn't have to abstain because it's not Ramadan then, but it's Ramadan now. It's not Ramadan then, but it's Ramadan now. Even if, for example, someone, for example, breaks their fast without an excuse through like conjugal relations, through being intimate with their spouse during Ramadan. Okay, they have to make it up. They have to abstain, and they even have to like pay an expiation. They have to what? They have to fast 60 consecutive days because the gravity of what they did in this blessed month. But if they were to do the same exact thing outside of Ramadan, let's say they have to make up a fast from Ramadan in any other old month, okay, and they decided to break their fast without an excuse through conjugal relations, right, through marital relations, through intimacy, they don't have to pay an expiation. There's no 60 consecutive days of fasting. All this is just why? Because of the sanctity and the holiness of this month and the respect we have to show for it by directing ourselves to Allah Ta'ala. He says, it has been transmitted that the Prophet, may God's blessings and peace be upon him, used to intensify his efforts in Ramadan and intensify them even more in the last 10 days and nights. I say, this is because of the superior merit of the last 10 days and nights and his instructions. May God's blessings and peace be upon him. To seek Laylatul Qadr in them. Scholars have stated that it is more likely to be in one of the odd nights. So now he's saying the Prophet ﷺ, in his example for us, he used to intensify his worship of Allah Ta'ala during the month of Ramadan. Furthermore, during the last 10 nights, he would intensify even more. It's narrated in hadith where his wife, Aisha, used to say that Prophet ﷺ in the last 10 days of Ramadan, he used to spend the nights in prayer. He used to, what we would say in English, like roll up his sleeves, like get to work, right? Put extra effort in. And he would wake up his family and have them also, pray with him and remind them to take advantage of the last 10 nights. And this is, as the author says, perhaps in an effort to best make use of the night of power, Laylatul Qadr, the night that the scholars say, that Allah Ta'ala says, it's better than 1,000 months. Worshipping on this night is better than worshipping for 1,000 months. And this night is unknown to us. The time of this night, when it exactly occurs, is unknown to us. When it is exactly. Some scholars say it's during the last 10 nights. Some say it's during an odd night. So it's most likely to be on an odd night of the last 10 nights of Ramadan. So the 21st, 23rd, 25th, 27th, 29th. Okay? That's when it's most likely. Some even say that it can be any time during Ramadan. It might be the first night, the second night. Okay? And the wisdom behind it being unknown is that for an individual is so that an individual is always ready to receive the blessed night. So you work hardest every single night in Ramadan because there's always potential that that specific night is Laylatul Qadr, the night of power. So there's no night where you're caught heedless, where you're caught slacking, where you're caught, off guard, and this night comes and you're surprised. Okay? And this night comes and you're surprised. Rather, you treat every night as if it's Laylatul Qadr so that you can best make use of your time in Ramadan. And right now, we're on the 13th night of Ramadan. We're almost halfway through. The first third of the month, where Allah Ta'ala is merciful to His servants, has passed. We're now in the second third of forgiveness. And just in a few nights we'll be, right, in about a week, we'll be in the last third of the month where He emancipates and frees His slaves from the fire. May Allah make us from amongst them. Ameen. He says, in brief, the sagacious believer should be ready for Laylatul Qadr every Ramadan night. So the believer who's earnest for his Lord's mercy should be ready for Laylatul Qadr any potential night. He must remain watchful and constantly engaged in good works. The important thing is that when it does come, it finds him absorbed in his good works, remembering God the Exalted, neither distracted, heedless, nor absorbed in frivolity. It is unimportant whether he actually witnesses Laylatul Qadr or not. For the works of he who is absorbed in devotions during it will be equivalent to the works of 1,000 months, whether he is aware or not which specific night it is. We say he should watch for it and be prepared for every night of the month, because much disagreement exists between scholars as to which night it is. Some have gone so far as to say that it is hidden and can be any night of the month. Also that it shifts and is not the same night every year. I am inclined, this is the author saying now, I am inclined to accept this last opinion, that it shifts every single year. Every year is a different day. Every year, Laylatul Qadr is a different day of the Ramadan. He says, I'm inclined to accept this last opinion. I believe it can occur in other than the last 10 nights, but more frequently does in them. This is also the opinion of the majority of scholars. So the thing for us to remember is that as blessed as this special night Laylatul Qadr is, whether or not we know when it occurs, you still receive the reward for the night. So some people, they get so caught up in trying to figure out when exactly Laylatul Qadr is that they miss the point, right? The point isn't to know when it is. The point is to worship Allah Ta'ala in it. So whether you knew it came or it passed or when it was, doesn't matter. The point is, if you may take advantage of your nights in Ramadan, then no matter what day it is, okay, it comes and you've taken advantage of it and you get rewarded the same as someone who knew it was there. The person who knew it was there. So we ask Allah Ta'ala to give us tawfiq and to accept our fast and our actions this blessed month. We have a little over half of it left. There's a saying. They say what do they say? They say to the meaning of, I wish I knew I was in the good old days while I was in them, right? I wish I knew I was in the good old days while I was in them, right? But we know Ramadan is those good old days, and we're in it right now. We have only a little more than half of the month left, and we know exactly when these good old days end, so to speak. So while we're here, it's best for us to take advantage of it. As a community, as families, as individuals, and to hope that Allah Ta'ala accepts all of our actions this blessed month. So we ask Allah Ta'ala to accept our actions this blessed month, to make it a month of the lifting of oppression from the Ummah, that He fulfills all of our personal, communal, and familial needs, that He guides those of us who have family members not in Islam He guides our family members to Islam, those of us who are family members who are not in Islam. That He guides our family members who are heedless to the Sunnah of Prophet ﷺ. That He gives us tawfiq to acquire beneficial knowledge, to act upon and accept those actions from us. That He gives us tawfiq as well to spread all over the world. That makes the Prophet ﷺ happy with us. And He rewards our parents, our teachers, all those that writes upon us, and our shuyukh.